The name Goliath beetle refers to all species of beetle in the genus Goliathus. There are 5 species in this genus, with several subspecies that aren't fully described yet, meaning there's still a lot to learn about them. The order of insects that all beetles belong to is called Coleoptera. This is the largest order of insects, having about 400,000 species, and it's estimated that 25% of all animal life are beetles. There are fossils that place the oldest Coleopteran as being close to 300 million years old. For comparison, the earliest insects are thought to have appeared about 480 million years ago. The species I'm painting here is Goliathus Orientalis. It lives in the savanna of Africa and favors areas with plenty of shade. The easiest way to tell that it's Goliathus Orientalis is by the markings on the elytra. The elytra are the 2 hard covers you see on the main body of the insect. These are actually the 4 wings of the beetle, and they act as protectors for the hind wings, which are more delicate and needed for flight. While there is some variation in the patterns on the elytra, especially among the subspecies, it's a reliable way to identify which species of Goliath beetle you're looking at. They are all predominantly black and white, but some species have a deep red coloration on their elytra. All 5 species of Goliath beetle are endemic to Africa, and are only found in certain regions of the continent. Goliathus Orientalis, for example, is found in the middle of Africa, while the other species are found only on certain parts of the coast. These beetles are not called Goliath for no reason. They are among the largest of insects in terms of weight. The heaviest species, called Goliathus goliathus, can be 50 to 60 grams and up to 12 centimeters long. However, there are longer insects. The Goliath beetles are soundly beat out in length by stick insects, which can be just over 60 centimeters, which is about 2 feet. Despite how heavy they get, they are still able to fly. And that's because Goliath beetles, and some other beetles that are closely related, have an adaptation that makes flight easier. Instead of having to fully lift those wing covers, they can slide their hind wings out the side of the elytra, thereby avoiding lifting the heavier forewings. If you happen to see pinned specimens of Goliath beetles, that's one reason you'll sometimes see the hind wings pulled out with the elytra still seemingly in place. Like all insects, Goliath beetles go through a metamorphosis in their life cycle. Their life starts with a female beetle laying eggs in the soil and leaving them. Many beetles do not provide any care for their young. Notable exceptions are carrion beetles, best beetles, and a really cool group called pleasing fungus beetles that live in the Amazon and herd their larvae around on tree trunks to eat mushrooms. Back to Goliath beetles. Once their eggs have been laid, they take about 2 weeks to hatch. After they hatch, they stay underground and they eat and eat on decaying plant matter for about 4 months, reaching a weight of about 100 grams. At this point, they burrow down a little bit deeper and go into a pupal stage. Just like butterflies and moths, they create a cocoon structure where they are dormant while their body changes into the shape that you see in adults. The Goliath beetle will stay in the cocoon for several months, which is timed to be around the end of the dry season. As it moves into the wet season in Africa, the soil becomes more saturated, which softens up the walls of the cocoon the beetle has created. This change is the environmental cue that brings the beetle out of dormancy, and it then breaks its way out of the pupa. They make their way to the surface, where they live as adults for just a few months. Goliath beetles can live for almost a year in captivity, but in the wild, where there's many more dangers, they only make it about 4 months. Adult beetles feed on sugar-rich foods like tree sap and fruit. They have large claws on the end of each leg that allows them to grip and climb trees to reach these food sources. The males have Y-shaped horns on their head, and they're used for fighting other males in contests over feeding sites and mates. Thanks for watching, and I hope you find Goliath beetles to be pretty interesting. They are beautiful insects and proof of how cool evolution can be. As always, I appreciate likes and subscribes as it helps other people find these videos and learn about nature. Links to my site and social media pages are all below, as well as some sources for additional information.